Alright, this is Sniz with Bloodbane. This is my August 12th video blog, part 2 of, I'm not actually sure how many I'm going to do today because it's been a while, but it's at least part 2 of 2, if not more. Where I left off in the last one was I was talking a little bit about gold production. I think I pretty well covered that subject, but again, I think I tend to place my certain resources opportunistically, particularly my outer city. I tend to work around the city I have. So a watered way, I devote significant amount of building slots to producing solid gold production. Same thing with farms. I don't have any huge farm fields in any one town. All of my towns that have are using maximum use of the water in the place. By the way, I want to make one quick revision on a past thing I've said about farms. I was in error when I said mills are not worth using. It is not worth adding a mill to this configuration. And in fact, I would not use a mill in this location. I think this was the example I was looking at when I made that conclusion. However, if there was space to place a farm here that had empty fields around it, if I could get a second farm in this configuration, once I have two farms, it is very much worth placing a mill between them. So in this configuration, no mill, but one of the things I said in a past video about, I've upgraded my opinion of mills somewhat. Let's see if I can find an example of where I would use a mill. Not in this city. So anyway, I strongly believe in that. You want to make your inner city this basic grid. You want to be as balanced as possible, although sometimes you're adjusting to what the Empire needs, so make the adjustments you have to make, but as balanced as possible. Inner city, 6 nodes. Anytime you have a harbor, create a gold producing sector of the city. If you do not have a harbor, you have more space to devote outside to different kinds of productions. Also, depending on how many building slots you have and whatnot, I do occasionally grab on these opportunities. This is a nice little iron production facility for one, for one building slot. What I may or may not end up with iron here, but that's kind of like a floater building for me. If I decide I want more troops and drop another barracks here to do higher level dungeons, I can dump that. Same thing here. This is a configuration I came up with that's utilizing what's here to maximize the building slots. And I've got a number of different methods. Actually, I'll cover that in another city as far as maximizing those building slots. The game becomes a lot more about maximizing building slots than it is just about pure production rates. Because ultimately, your final cap in this city is, in this city, I will have 100 buildings total. What is the most efficient way I can use what's there to produce the maximum resources in the balance I want for the total number of buildings? So even though, yes, in the center grid, you destroy all the resources, I think people are a little too hasty to not capitalize on the outer resources when the time comes. Because at some point, if I only have 3 building slots, I can't build this, but I have 3 building slots. Why not use those building slots to the best that I can with what I have to work with? And that changes city to city. It's a dynamic process. So anyway, I covered some gold strategies. Just have a little checklist of stuff I was going to cover. Balance resources a little bit. Gold and momentum, I want to hit on that again. Just something to kind of visualize as time comes. Let me go to my moonstone production location. I need to make 11 moonstones before I can place another city. Actually, I just started a baron, but after that I'll need to make 11 moonstones. That is, let's see, 550,000 gold, 550,000 wood, 550,000 iron, etc. What you're dealing with there is a balancing act where the shortages sometimes come out as iron and gold because your cities, earlier cities necessarily are focusing more on stone, wood. And I think that was a great move early on, focusing stone, wood, first, second, third city, great idea. As time goes, I'm needing to put more into iron and more into gold. So one of the things I'd caution you about is, even though you didn't really need to do much in the way of gold production, utilizing these sections of cities, your watered ways, your water areas to produce gold is ideal. This is not ideal. This is my first city. It's kind of a mess, but it's as good as I can get for what I had there. Anyway, so don't underestimate gold production. The other thing to realize is gold cannot be plundered. There is no cap. So if you're going to overproduce anything in this game, overproduce gold. Gold buys things. Gold buys everything at some ratio, very often in a better to 1-to-1 ratio. So Anyway, get going with gold fairly early, or else what you'll end up with is as you start getting to your third, fourth, fifth cities, you're going to be sitting there waiting on gold all day long. I did a video on rating. I do have some slight revisions coming to that in terms of unit loss ratios and whatnot, but for the most part, 99.9% of the information in those raid videos are right on, and rating becomes everything about gold production as well. Particularly now, as the level goes up, the percentage of gold that you get goes down, but in the early, in the level 3, 4, and even 5 dungeons, rating becomes huge about gold production. So I'm not going to spend any time getting into the math of how many troops to send and how many you want, but anyone who is not yet rating, rating becomes key in gold production as well as general resource production. Every one of my cities is pumping out paladins to maximize the closest reasonable, whether it's a level 3, level 4, level 5 dungeon. I'm cranking out paladins as fast as I can. I typically have 3 or 4 or even 5 slots devoted to barracks to maximize that. So anyway, watch that video if you're not rating yet, but definitely rating should become a significant part of what you do. One other quick thing, I think maybe the only other thing I'm going to cover in today's kind of blog pair, I think I will keep it to a two-parter, is I want to talk just a little bit about administration. I don't have any set up for today, but when you get into multiple cities, now I'm using names on my cities. I don't love C1, A1, B1, partially because I think sometimes people give away their strategies and what that city is based on those names. And I kind of like to have those categories, but I group them. So one thing I'm starting to do is I'm using subtle variations in the names to identify what's where. For example, very subtle difference, but these 3, actually I haven't named this one, but these 3 cities have a single S rather than a double S. That groups them because this is an alphabetically sorted list. So these 3 at the top, even though they look like they're just another name, they have a single S. So they're grouped together as these are my continent 10 cities, where this is my main cluster, my double S's, and then I have an underscore right now, a leading underscore, identifying the 2 that I've placed so far on the eastern portion of our continent. So with just some subtle variations of naming, I'm not yet to the point. I may end up with 10A, 10B, 10C, 20A, 20A, 20B, etc. I'm not yet doing that, and that's partially just because I'm having fun with the names. That's partially just a fun thing. But also, some people, when they do it, they end up kind of giving away what they have. You don't want to say, this is my resource city number 12 on this continent stuff because of the name. So, and then the other thing, I haven't done it today, but one little trick I've been using is I tend to, what am I doing here? What's my next thing here? So sometimes I'm using the notes. If you click the notes deal, I have notes for myself of what I'm trying to do in general, as well as one of the little things, and I'm going to try to get this in before the end of this video. Got about a minute to go. Let's say here in Snizztopia, I have 105 defenders, and when this gets to, I'm predicting, or I need to recruit some here, but when this gets to a certain number, I want to send out my 5th raid. If I start the recruitment, and let's say that recruitment means that it says that it's going to finish at, 4:59 p.m. today. In the reference line, I put 4:59 p.m. and then the very first line I do star, and I tell myself what to do. Here I'll just use an example. Send 5th group of 200 pallies. And then I save that, right? Now, in my city list, I have a time. So if I log in quickly from work or whatever, and I don't have a lot of time to sit here and remember where I was or whatever, I've got I need to get here at 4:59. Oh shit, it's 5:06. Yeah, I need to click this one. Okay, at 4:59, what was I supposed to do? Oh yeah, send 5th group. Okay, bam, go to region. So I've been utilizing these notes not only to keep general notes about what I'm doing in terms of building and whatnot, but up in the reference, by giving myself a time and then giving myself a first line of what to do, I can queue it, so then if I'm logging in quickly to deal with something, I can just log in, look at the list, anything with the time, if that time has hit, I go there, quickly do it, and bam. That's working pretty good for me, so I basically log in once a day to really think, and then the rest of the day I'm just queuing off of my own instructions to myself. So that concludes part 2. I think this is the only other one I'll do today. Enjoy, and I'll probably try to do another one within the next couple of days.